I frequently encounter content about the intermediate plateau and starting in a language, but it is so hard to find content about advanced language learning. So today I thought I could dissect and I could talk about it a little bit. And apart from that, hello everybody, welcome back. Hey, my name is Paulina. I am a language teacher, a language lover. I'm currently studying for a C2 exam. I thought I could share with you some very practical tips about what my routine actually looks like. So if you're new here, I talk about languages. I have in my YouTube library a lot of videos about tips, advice, things I do. First and foremost, this is a very important thing. I always check what a comprehensive list of grammar and vocabulary topics looks like. You need to be very specific. You're not studying numbers, you're not studying colors, you're not studying this is nice, this is pretty, this is beautiful. You're studying very technical and specific language. You want to express your ideas very precisely. In order to do so, you need a lot of accuracy, a lot of studying. It's not random. At this point, it's not random. It cannot be random. I know there's this fantasy of, oh, I could reach a C1 level in 3 months. I try to make a list of all the topics that are essential. So with English, that would be, you need to know binomials. You need to know inversion. You should be comfortable, you should be at ease with advanced syntax. What I usually do is I check different textbooks, like let's say 3 or 4, that's my sweet spot. And I basically go through the table of contents. I simply jot down those grammar topics. And then while I'm studying, I know that these are going to be things I'm dealing with. End of the discussion. Along with grammar, of course, vocabulary. A ton. So what I do for vocabulary is, of course, I listen to native speakers. At this point, you are not listening to easy, comprehensible input. You're listening to people who are creating content for native speakers. And there's a huge difference in this. A lot of people don't see the difference. Imagine being a beginner of German and trying to watch Dark. That's nuts. Because obviously you're trying to understand something that has been created and designed for the German public. Instead, I am part of a different audience as a beginner. I am part of the audience that wants easy content, tailored content, content that's good for my needs. But if you are a C1, C2 kind of student, there you break the barrier. You're not a learner, let's say. I mean, you are, obviously. In that situation, you must try and do your best to understand native speakers. So I listen to content which could be anything. YouTube videos, adverts, different accents, different dialects, different topics. Let me actually share a list of topics which I think are so important. This is not comprehensive, but this is just to give you an idea of what I personally try to do. I try to watch some documentaries about nature, so birds, and then fish, and the sea, and then recycling, so the environment, and then city life, so how do people live in cities, and pollution. And this is like biology, so the human body, also psychology, brain, habits, how we communicate with people, the social aspect, stereotypes, how we behave in certain situations, crime, investigation, and then it could be also fantasy, so myths, warlocks, hexes and spells, superheroes, and then law. I'm freestyling a bit here. All of these, they come up in conversations. So tourism, mass tourism, money, economy, finances, beauty standards, sports, success, failure. These are some of the major topics. The more you vary the different genres, the better it is. Then I make an infamous list, which nobody likes. So I try to apply the ostrich effect. I've made a video entirely about it. I think this is crucial for any language learner, but of course, the more you get into the proficient levels, the easier it is. Understanding your Achilles heel, your weaknesses. Where do you suck, basically? We don't know every single thing that is out there. So I try to make a very personal and honest analysis of where do I suck? What subjects, what subject matters actually? What aspects are a weakness for me in terms of grammar, in terms of skills? So maybe I'm not as good in reading as I am in listening. And then the moment you notice your weaknesses, you double down on those. I'm not very good at phrasal verbs, so I'm dedicating twice as much time to that compared to other things because they need it, because apparently I'm not good at those. It could be vocabulary. So maybe I feel like my vocabulary, my active vocabulary is quite limited. I am forcing myself to use more words. Let's say I'm studying Spanish and I cannot understand for the life of me an accent. I am listening to more people using that accent. And the ostrich effect is that usually people tend to do less of what they suck at. So you're enhancing the problem because, oh, I suck at this accent, so I'm not listening to people who speak that accent. You're not helping yourself and you're not solving the problem. You're actually hiding your head. You're simply turning your back to the problem. You're ignoring it, and that's not how it works. So if you want to really improve, understanding what the danger is, understanding where your struggles are, and dealing with those. The moment you do that, you see such an improvement. I promise you. I fucking promise you. You see such an incredible change and you feel so satisfied, which helps, build up motivation and you continue. But that's amazing. Speaking of motivation, I think that at this point, when you get to this level, the reason why you want to learn the language is very clear. It's crystal clear. So it's not really about motivation. Like, why am I doing this? Why should I study, Italian at a C1 level? I think that's not the problem. The issue is, what can I incorporate in my routine in order to achieve this goal in a practical way? I am, at the moment, in a period of my life where I have some free time. So I'm managing to incorporate 2 hours of studying every single day. Things that I'm not truly aware of, and exercising, practicing, like a lot of writing, a lot of speaking, active studying, recalling vocabulary I'm not familiar with. Instead, in the remaining part of the day, so let's eliminate those 2 hours, I do a lot of listening, a lot of easier input. I listen to podcasts which I love and I'm interested in. I might be watching a documentary, I might be watching a series, but I don't include that into my studying. Those 2 hours, I must study. I give you a very practical example of this. For the life of me, I can't ever remember straight and narrow because I've never freaking heard it. From all the input I've ever had in my life, I've never heard anybody use the binomial straight and narrow. There are expressions that I've never encountered or I tend to forget. Because if you do not encounter some words, some information, you could forget that. Languages can be somehow forgotten, or at least you could have some gray areas, and that's normal in languages. I'm a native Italian speaker, and for the 3 years when I lived in Poland, my Italian sounded strange at the end of year 3. My Italian friends told me, That's a strange structure you've used. And that is my freaking native language. You know, our brain is influenced a lot by our actions, our routine. That thing applies to languages as well. So I'm forcing myself in those 2 hours to be constantly in touch with things that I don't normally see, things that have eluded me for some reason. And I'm also forcing myself, that's another tip, I'm forcing myself to speak more eloquently. There are those words that the moment we see them, we say, oh, that's so posh. I'm never using that. Nobody's saying that. And maybe there's a context in which that word would perfectly fit the context. And if you know that word and you use it, that's another level of satisfaction. And if you're studying for an advanced exam or you want to be advanced in a language, that's nice. That makes you feel so freaking powerful. And then the final tip for today, let me share this with you, is just testing yourself a lot. And this applies to all levels, to be honest. If you're preparing for a PET exam, if you're preparing for the CAE, for an Italian exam, for a French certificate, Spanish, German, Hindi, Tamil, whatever exam you have to take, try to see if you can understand what's in the exam, familiarize with the exam structures, with the different tasks, and also familiarize with the language within the exams. Because a lot of that language is very specific and it's C1, C2 language. So I've been doing that a lot recently. It's a humbling experience. This is a personal tip. If you struggle with motivation because you say, I don't want to study, what I love doing is just changing the setting. So anytime I have to study, I'm like, oh, I don't want to study. So I go outside. I just go somewhere else, to a bar, to a cafe. Psychologically speaking, changing your location helps. It could drive your motivation. It could boost your motivation. It could be a very efficient way to also spice it up a little bit. You could buy some decoration which you put only when you're studying, like a fake plant or a real plant. Change your physical space. Like, that has helped me so much. Being at uni made me pull my weight. Seriously. If you have any further tips, if you have studied for an advanced exam, or if you have become proficient in a language, let me know down below what your experience has been like. I wish you my best, and I leave you all the useful links down below. And I'll see you soon with a new piece of content. Bye!